Hello and welcome to Flight Simulator XP11. So I'm out flying in Sierra Echo Juliet Victor, India, and I'm on my way from out in Denmark, and now I'm heading down through Sweden. Over here is a hill that's called Kinnekulle. I used to live in these parts of Sweden. I don't live there anymore. I live in Stockholm, but I used to live in these parts, not here by Kinnekulle. I live up at a town which is up here somewhere, which is called Mariestad. I lived there for 5 years, so that's why I know they're pretty okay. Not like from a flight perspective though, but still. So this is called E20, which is one of the main roads through Sweden. Slightly off. I don't think it's actually this size. I think it goes down here. I think in this town over here it turns exactly. So it's wide and then it goes into not single lane. Well, actually single lane, I guess is the correct term. And this bit over to my start where no, it's actually single there. It goes single right quite a while after this. So I have the MD500D, which is let me just look at that. It's an awesome plane, a helicopter, and an awesome model, and it's so cool. This is so cool. The startup procedures is realistic. It's really nice. Price quite nice too. So I don't know if that's realistic though, because I'm not a helicopter pilot. But anyway, so here you can see it. This is Kinnekulle, which is sort of, well, I guess a mountain. I don't know if it's mountain or hill, but it's there. Interesting part, it is one of those places where Sweden as a state actually started. One of the first, I think, first kings that got baptized was on there, on that hill, mountain. It's a significant place in Swedish history. I'm on my way. This is an FS economy flight. I'm going from Gothenburg, which is actually not where I stopped, because I flew a little bit last night and then stopped at a place called Herrljunga, and now I'm on the way. But the passengers are on the way from Gothenburg up to Örebro, which is an airport in a bit over here. It's over here on the map. So we started out. Actually, let's see where's we start out. Yeah, I can't find it. Of course. Oh, here it is. Here we started. So we started out here, on this flight, and then we flew up here, and we flew up to Skara, which is a town. And then we follow the road, and we're gonna follow it up. I don't know where we'll stop. Stop in a bit, maybe. But that is to follow this road all the way up to airport, which is here in Örebro. We go direct, you can see 28 minutes. So we're gonna fly it directly. Gonna follow the road though. So actually we should have it past, maybe we passed that. Yeah, exactly. So here's a small airfield called Brennebrona, which is Brennebrona. It's by a town called Götene, which was back where the mountain was. I'm coming out to my start here, by the way, where I used to live. Actually, I can see if I can show you where I used to live. Let's see if... No, actually this is not. This is... No, we're a bit left. We're not there yet. This is really nice. I used to ride my bike out these roads here. You go by my start, which is over here, and you go ride your bike all the way down to Kinnekulle, which I've done a few times. Really nice area. I'll forget what this is called. I haven't lived there for quite some time, so that's why I don't remember everything. Let's see, it's called... See if I can find it called? Lugnos. Lugnos. Sorry. It's called Lugnos. I had a colleague that used to live there. But this is a really nice area in Sweden if you want to go vacationing and bike riding. Nice roads to ride bikes down to. But my start is coming up here somewhere. Should be. This should be town, maybe. This is a big island out here. It's called Torsha. I think the town is here. And you can go up by road, and there's a bridge over here. I have a colleague that lived there. The town is here. So there's the road. Slightly weird, you can see your face. That. So here's the road. The main road is here. Yes, you get, and it goes sort of outside the town. And the weather is kind of crappy. But if you turn off the ground here, there's first an industrial area. There's a car shop over here where I bought a couple of cars actually when I lived there. And then this goes over here, and then there's basically like a local circular road goes. Should be this one, right? This one goes around town basically as an entrance. So let's see if I can. So there's a roundabout. So let's see if I manage this. It's another roundabout. So I go. So I used to live. If I can find, I think it should be here, around here. Exactly, go in there. So I lived here. I would say about here. The housing isn't correct. There's no houses. There are houses in here. So this area is houses. But I used to live here, basically underneath myself. Now is where I used to live for 5 years. It's kind of cool. I used to work over. The school was over here somewhere. It's not on there. It's a very nice town. Here's I guess a dance is called, like a small, not a castle, like well, I guess it's not a castle, but it looks, it's a residential area. Länsstyrelsen, this is the central part of the town. It's not a big town. It's strangely located sort of inwards. Otherwise you would think you would focus stuff towards the buildings and stuff towards the sea, but you don't. They're starting to. They're probably doing much more now than when I lived there. But it was strangely, oddly oriented inwards from the water, and they had a couple of big silos in the harbor, rather than something cool like houses looking out at it. A big church also, which is kind of cool. So this is. Sort of a peninsula which would lead out to, I don't know, I don't think the bridge is on here, but over here there's a bridge over this strait, and this is Torsha, which is a big island. I celebrated a couple of midsummers out there. It's kind of a really nice area also. So but this is where you would cross over. That's kind of, yeah, it's a cool area of Sweden. Really, actually there's the bridge. Oh. It's not a low bridge in real life. In real life it's quite a tall bridge that goes over the strait. I had a colleague, which I don't know, can see the harbor, but I had a colleague that had a boat, and I would sometimes get to borrow his boat. I could borrow it a lot if I wanted to, but I'm a bit scared of going on the sea on a big boat, not a small boat. I mean. So I only did that a few times, but this was sort of a really, you go up here and this is quite some stuff you could hit around here, so you need to follow the course quite thoroughly. Anyway, so here's a bridge basically. Where is the bridge? and it looks, it's a little bit like this. It starts low and then it gets taller for a while, and if I remember correctly, I could be forgetting it though. And my colleague that had a house, he lived basically here in this area. So we drive off the road here and drown into this area where there were basically, I keep saying basically, there were a lot of summer houses here in this area. And he was, I think he and his wife or fiance were basically, I said basically again, I have to stop, sorry. They lived there year round, and there was only one more family that did that. Otherwise, the rest of the people lived there were just summer guests. He eventually bought a house. They eventually bought a house in town instead. The house prices in Mariestad was ridiculously low. I think another colleague of mine also got divorced and bought a house in town, and they paid, I think, like 780,000 Swedish kroners. This is a while back though, but that was in the dead center of town. Now, if you're gonna buy a house, I think they're more expensive there. But I mean, we built a house in Stockholm, but that cost us 3.2 million. So there's a difference. They don't. My colleague says it's more expensive to live there, but I don't buy that. That's not true. It's a lot less expensive to live in some of the rural parts of Sweden. The prices have absolutely gone up from where they were, but they were quite low. So, and I would say it's kind of cheap to live in these parts of Sweden. And if you have a pretty okay job, which a lot of people do, then you'll make the same amount of money you do in Stockholm. So you have the same pay and a lot less expenses, so you'll have much more money to spend. But then again, you won't have my house, our house, I would say. The price, I mean, we paid 3.2 million to build it, and 2 years later it was worth 5.5 million. So, and that won't happen in small towns like Mariestad in the same way. And if you go over even more out of the way and into the countryside, you'll see places where you can buy a house extremely cheap, but you basically can't lend money to redecorate it, or if you do need to do something with it, because you will never get that money back. So if you want to build a say a bathroom or something, you could spend a couple of 100,000 Swedish kroners for it, and you would never get that money back. So that's the issue. You can live in the countryside, you can buy a really cheap house. It will be quite worn down because people won't invest money in it, because most people will never get it back. So an investment in a house in, say, Stockholm where I live it's not guaranteed to bring all the money back, but pretty much, and more. Which means the banks here are much more willing to lend you money, because they know it will be there in the end. Especially if you buy a house. Good apartments are more tricky. It's easier in Sweden. Stockholm, I mean, but maybe not as well. The issues with it, the market for apartments usually go up and down much more, and you can actually make a loss. When we bought our first house, this is our second house. When me and my fiance bought our first house, we actually think we're going the wrong way here. Where am I? Yeah. So we're going up this way. Just in this area. We don't want to go there. We're gonna go across here. So actually, I'm gonna go out of this way. There's some really cool areas up here also. A place called Sjötorp. I don't know if this is Sjötorp. With something called Göta Canal, which is basically a canal system across. I don't know if this is supposed to be the canal system over here. maybe. Could, I don't think, I think it's further south actually. But the canal system goes all across, so you can cross Sweden without having to go around it. And that's a pretty cool one. Lots of summer people going on boats there nowadays. So let's see, go across, we'll go about 90 on our heading. So we can pick up our road again. This is a nice area. So where were I? So apartment. So my fiance, we bought our first house, which is the house we had before we built this one, and we had to buy it. And it was like I had money, and but she owned her apartment, so she sold it, and she sold it with loss. Her previous apartment she sold with a profit, so she had a profit when put into the apartment she sold with loss, but still she lost some money on it. That's long gone. And we gained, when we sold our first house, we made about 60,000 euros, so 600,000 Swedish kroners in profit there, so that was nice. And that meant we could build this house. So, and it's a nice house, I love this. We lived here 7 years now. It's strange how fast time flies. Our kids, they don't have any recollection of. They were 1 year old when we moved in the other house. They don't have any. They can't remember that house in a way. Let's see. Here's the Lake Skagen. Can pick up the road. It should be up here, up ahead here somewhere. This is one way of doing some sort of virtual vacation or virtual going around the world in Corona times. How's the fuel looking? Let's see. I think that's like the quarter. So okay, so that's half. Well, a little less than half. So we should pick up our road up ahead here somewhere. Guls, I remember that. It's pretty cool. Oh, here it. So here's the canal. So if you wanted to go with the canal and you have this installed, you can find it here. And go across. It's a Lierstad, which is not. That's not how you pronounce it. It's Lista. Which is, I had no idea when I first moved here. People like kids. I worked at the school. Not here. When I first moved to Mariestad, worked in a school, and people said like, "Oh, I'm from Lista," and I was like, "I have no idea what that is." And it took me probably like half a year or something to figure out that this was the place that we're talking about. Here's the road, by the way. But this is the canal, so the canal goes over to here. You can here it says actually Canal, and it goes out to Karlsborg, which is pretty much a military town. And I think you go across. Let's see where you go. Exactly. So go across here, which is Motala, I believe the town is called, and then you go continue across Oxen, and then the canal goes over here, and then you're out in the Baltic Sea there. So, and so you can go from the western part of Sweden to the eastern part of Sweden without much issue. You have to go up and down all the, what are they called? They're called slussar in Swedish. They're called, oh, you know, where you go in and you fill out the water and you rise or lower. Oh, I can't remember that. It's English word, suddenly. Sorry about that. But you have to go by all of those. So it's not an easy project, it's quite a slow, tedious project, but a lot of people go there in the summer and do that, and they think that's nice and interesting. And if you had a boat, I don't know, I would get restless quite easy. I get restless in boats. I think they're nice. And been out on Vänern, which is the town, the lake over there, quite a lot when I lived in Mariestad. But it's, some people find it really relaxing. I did find it relaxing. It was interesting, that part of my life, but now I'm pretty much not that interested in it anymore. To me, it's a cool thing I did, but that's pretty much it. Okay, so we're following this. We're gonna come in at the airport. So we have 15 minutes left. I'm not gonna record everything on that. And the road goes pretty much down here. So this is the issue here. And then you go up towards this part of there. I think I was gonna find Hjelman. So I think over here somewhere. No, is it this? No, actually, I think this is the when we bought our first caravan. We went vacationing. I think about here somewhere, or maybe here. I remember going out on an island on a boat. The kids were really young. We was one of the hottest summer. It was so hot that summer. They actually, and the kids were still sleeping during daytime sometimes, or taking naps. And I remember it being so hot. We put them in the caravan. It was like scorching hot, in like over 30 degrees, 32, 34. In the caravan it's probably like 35, 36 degrees, and they couldn't fall asleep, of course. And eventually we so many times we just put them in the car and we went driving, because we had air conditioner, of course, or climate control in the car. So we just drive around with the kids sleeping in the back, because that was the only way for it to be bearable, climate-wise. It was fun summer. Really fun, really nice big stay. We stayed there like, I don't know, a few days. Maybe it was a week actually. Maybe it was. I don't remember that correctly, that thoroughly, but thoroughly strong word. But it was a nice vacation. I really like that. Could this be Laxå? Maybe check the map. Hallsberg. I think this is Hallsberg, which is Laxå is here. Maybe this is Hallsberg. Hallsberg is somewhere else. Interesting. Laxå, a friend of mine, she has a friend who has this store in there, like a grocery store. And interesting, because he lives in the same part of, well, just outside of Stockholm, in the town where I work, and my friend lives, her friend lives there, but he has this store over here, so he commutes each week there and works there. Which is kind of interesting. Seems odd. People that work for those sort of big companies where you have grocery stores in Sweden, you start out and then you work your way up and you eventually become a store manager or a store owner, but you don't have much choice in where you do that, so you might have to commute, or like he does, or you have to move. I have a student I still have a little bit of contact with. He started out at that grocery store chain, which he called ICA in Sweden, and he worked his way up, and he eventually got to like a management position, and eventually he got his own ICA store, which is in Sälen, which is up north. So a lot, actually, that guy is from Mariestad. That's where I learned to know him. He was a student of mine, but so basically he moved with his family up there. And from all the nice Instagram videos and pictures, it looks nice. But then again, social media isn't very correct in a nice way, of this weird way of showing it. By the way, over here is a place you can stop, rest. What is it? Stop, rest place. It doesn't have any store or anything. It's just you can stop by the lake and you can eat dinner or stop and rest in it. So really nice. We stopped there a few times with our caravan when we were on vacation and eat stuff. I think this is Laxå, which is a small community up here. Also stopped here like 100 times, I think. and they have a McDonald's, they have a Burger King, and some other food joints around along the road here, of course. I don't know if there's much else going on in town. Laxå is kind of cool because there is, I think it's Lotta Engberg, which is an artist in Sweden, or a pretty known artist, is from here. Kind of like a scenic tour of this part of Sweden. So basically around this area, it's a roundabout, and this area here where my cursor is, this is where all the Burger King's joints and everything is. So here along here. So you stop here. Actually stop there, and you could put your caravan there, and then you walk up to this area, which would be the McDonald's and this. They're all together in the same building, so it's quite easy. It's like weirdest tour ever of Sweden, from my point of view, where I lived or where I usually go. Odd video to make, maybe. 9 minutes to go. Should I cut across here? So, really see waypoint info, frequencies, tower, yes please. Go across straight in there. Toften. I like this map, moving map, the GTN, because it has such a lot of information. It makes VFR flying quite easy and bearable and doable. I guess this is Toften. And this, we're not going to follow the road. The road goes quite a bit south of the airport, so we're going to just cut across straight into the airport instead. Rather than keep this. I know my altitude management is crappy today, but I've been busy talking so much about where I lived. So I have a friend that lives in Örebro. He's a physiotherapist. We're from the same town. Actually, we got to know each other because he was friends with my little brother, and for some reason we got friends too. We became friends too. And once we went on vacation, we went tenting in Norway. So he had this plan about going to Norway, and he needed. At first, I was thinking that he needed my car more than me. He didn't have a car, but I had a car. So, and he really wanted to go on vacation to Norway. So we planned a vacation. It was fun. He's much more into planning. I'm more like let's just go and see what happens. He was into the planning part, which I think the combination is good. So we went to Norway, and we went, I don't know, really like 10 days or so driving around, sleeping in. We had a few cabins, but mostly we slept in a tent. It was quite cold, I remember, especially up north and some along the way. We basically drove around. We took a ferry over to the southern parts of Norway, and then we drove basically all the way around up to about halfway up the countryside. So it was quite a long drive, and narrow, winding roads, fjords and stuff. So, but it was a cool, very cool vacation, and I had some amazing pictures from places there. But then again, it was almost like Norway's too beautiful. I keep talking to my fiance and my kids about going there because it's a really beautiful place, and my fiance is warming up to it. My kids don't know much about Norway, so don't really care. This year I wanted to go there, but we hadn't planned it really, and then Corona came, so that's not gonna happen. But someday we're gonna go there. I'm gonna show you them what I saw. There's a few places we're not going. No, there's a place called Prekestolen, which is what the word English word for a name for it is. It's basically a cliff. Firstly, it's like a 1.5 hour and a half hike to the cliff. My kids wouldn't stand that. And then there's like no safety net or anything, which when I went there, I was growing up, I could handle that. My dad probably freaked out. Had the idea or thought of it, but it's really, you walk out this narrow ledge and then you sit over it. I get chills just thinking about it. Um, it's a strange feeling. I've been there. I don't really have much interest in going back though. I don't want to go back. I don't find it that interesting. So no, I don't want to go back. Oh, okay, let's see. 5 minutes. Getting there. What could this lake be called? Tofton, and then you have something else. It's not, there's some stuff that's not on here. We'll go in, I think this could be maybe an entry point. So if we go there and we'll see, could this like place? Fugista sounds like a village or something. I think this looks like an entry point, this looks like a holding point. Entry point, so I'm guessing this is the entry point into the TMA or air terminal area. Once again, my altitude controls suck. That's okay. So so this might be Fugista. Looks like it could be. There's a railway somewhere. Railroad. Where's the railroad? No, see a railroad. I can't see the railroad. Should have been a railroad there. Here. Coming up on it somewhere. So I can't see in a railroad. But on our map there is. But anyway, so here's the I think Fugista, which would be the entry point into the TMA. I don't know why it seems like. I'll just head on over to the airport. So you would, before this point, you would call the tower and say, "Hello, this is Sierra Echo Juliet Victor India Fugista entry point." TMA have whatever information they would have. I don't know if they had an at 80s actually. Should check that long before though. Frequencies, do they have an 80s? Nope, I can't find any 80s. So maybe they do have an 80s, I don't know. Can find it here though. Okay, so then you would continue in, you get cleared inbound, and we say like what runway you and entry point or holding entry into the pattern or whatever you want to do. So. This is nice. I really like this helicopter. It flies nicely. When you trim it, and you get that the way you want it, then it's quite nice. One. Thought the airport was slightly to the left. I don't know why. I will go. So we'll pretend we'll get cleared into left base for runway. No, what is the 101? We'll just go in there. I will just go. Then we'll get cleared to land at the apron or whatever. About a minute out. Oh, sorry, I'm really tired. quite a big airport. It has quite a lot of cargo operations, from what I understand. So let's start slowing down. Looks almost like a sort of vineyard here. I don't know what these trees are supposed to be. What these buildings are at the far end there. Either. Oh, clear to land 101. Sarah, Victor, India. And I suck. I'm not a good helicopter pilot, by the way. I'm just saying that. I'm not that very good at it. Was a bit off. Whoa. Managed to hover in, which is sometimes, well, I think I would be able to hover in. Just don't know where to park. So trim it a little bit so we'll have a nice smooth flight in there. Landing light. Just trimming it. I don't think this model has a force trim thing. Otherwise that would be cool. That's one of those things I would like to have. For some reason there's lots of planes in this modeled airport here. FedEx and stuff, which is a bit off, I guess. I don't think FedEx flies here. Maybe they do actually, I shouldn't say they don't. Maybe they do. Fine. It's not going too bad, this hovering around thing. So we'll pretend that we would go over to we could refuel it. Yeah, don't fly, don't drive into me, please. Okay, we can land over here. I really like the shadows in in XP11. It's so amazing. Oh, that is. Oh, can you drive around there? Okay, sorry, no, go park somewhere else. So I learned that one of the tricks to doing this is that you need to actually keep your eye sort of further along. I always keep my eye quite close to where I am on the ground, and that's, you need to do that too, but you also need to check. If you look across into the distance, it's much easier to keep it stable and level at the last parts of the landing. I'm not a pilot, I'm not an instructor pilot. That's just what I found. Governor off. Let's throttle off. Reduce throttle anyway. Could actually go unload economy. Yay. Thank you. Okay, push that. I'll pull out this and Oh, sorry, I should have turned off avionics first. Alternator off. Ignition off. Keep the lights on because we want this to slow down a bit before we. So some of it scoots around on the ground there a bit. This is a nice plane. Nice helicopter. Nice model. Really like flying it. Stable. Quite okay to taxi around. Turn on light. Quite okay to taxi around with. I'm not the best over landing it, but went pretty okay, I think. Nimbus Huey, for instance, that's a bit trickier to land. You need to be on par with that one. This is a bit easier. A bit. You still need to know what you're doing. So let's see, it's below 40. I think 40 is the limit on this one. This is the brake, the prop brake, or rotor brake, sorry. Slow down. So we'll turn on our lights and on as the battery. So that's about it. If I can open this. I don't know how I would open it. So a short flight from, well, long flight from Mariestad with scenic tour of the parts of Sweden where I used to live, up to Örebro Airport, FS Economy and XP11 and this beautiful freeware model of the MD500 Delta. So have a great day and well, I'm Andy. If you like this channel, please subscribe. If you like this episode, please hit the like button or share it. Take care everyone. Bye bye.